Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. Welcome to MandoLessons Live. My name is Baron Collins Hill. Hope you are all having a great day. I am going to do a little bit of multitasking here to try to make it so I can actually access that second camera of mine, which does not seem to be attached here for whatever reason. See if I can well, let's not do that. I've already been through that part. Alright, hey, look at that. Now I got the close-up shot back. Alright, well, hope you're all doing great. I'm going to catch up with the chat here. We got Lindsay, Sheldon, Stuart, Jim, Edward, Joe, Mirko, Rick, Alex, Ursanauts, Joel, Julia, Robert, this is always a bit of a tongue twister, Neil, and I probably am repeating people, Ryan, James, Deborah, Ursanauts again, Brienne, James, Neil, now I'm definitely repeating people, Jane, oh yeah, okay, this is getting out of control. Welcome, everyone. Let me know if this is your first time in the chat. It's always great to see new names and faces pop up in the old chat screen. That tune I started with, an excellent tune, a Maine Fiddle Camp classic, The Spotted Pony, great old-time tune that I first learned at Maine Fiddle Camp. Ursanauts thought there might not be a stream today. Nope, I was late at getting the word out. You can always check, it should, if you're subscribed to YouTube, if you're subscribed to me on YouTube, it should pop up in your subscription feed, although with the YouTube being all algorithmic, you never know. But I do also try to post on Instagram and the Discords and the what have yous. Just running a little behind. I had the old 10-minute warning. Oh, we got some roof leaks. That's no good. Got some folks where it's cold, folks where it's rainy, folks where it's too nice to be inside. Any wind and rain tunes you can request? Ooh, that's a good question. Wind and I mean, there's a classic old folk song, a very dark folk song called "Oh, the Wind and Rain." Goes downhill from there, but it's a beautiful and haunting old song. Maybe look that one up. A bunch of people have done all kinds of cool versions of that. Hey Lewis, good to have you. Sunny and cool Evansville. Peter from Hillsboro, howdy neighbor. Plymouth, Mass. I gotta turn off that clicking so it doesn't come through the mics. F-hole today. Yeah, I got the 10 string. I was thinking about Spotted Pony, which I opened with, and I thought, hey, I can do that down an octave if I got the 10 string out. Switch it up a little bit. Some cold frosty morning, yeah. try stuff down the octave. Definitely bends my brain around a little bit. Uncle Bobby says, do you have a new toy? I do. I don't have it plugged in, but I do have it right here. Maybe I'll, at some point, if people are interested, I could do some lessons on the electric side of the world, which has been kind of more of a pandemic project for me than anything, but I recently got this wild little monster. This, I don't know what the technical name for this is. This is an octave mandolin with a short scale and a high B string. So it goes G, D, A, E, B. So you can think about it as an octave mandolin with a high B string. But it's got a short scale. It's 18.5-inch scale. Usually for octave mandolin, I like 23. So this is almost 5 inches shorter, which makes it very fast on melodic stuff. Still got to figure out the string tension and kind of figure out string gauges and stuff to dial that in. But there's if you follow me on my personal Instagram account, which is just my name, you can hear me shredding on this thing. So it was made by Ron Oates, who I don't know at all, but I got this used, and I've only had it for a couple days. It's been fun to get to know. Maybe I'll do some, maybe I should just do like a bonus electric live stream or something. Maybe it could be a Patreon perk. That would be fun. I know some guitar, like acoustic guitar magazine will do like an electric edition. Could do the MandoLessons electric. Denise, good to have you here. Prashant. Yeah, because 8 wasn't enough. Exactly. Yeah. I have a habit of wanting too many strings, so I like things with 10 strings. Wind That Shakes the Barley. Yeah, that's a good tune. How's that tune go? Oh, okay, so Wind That Shakes the Barley is in a class of Irish tunes in my head that really, I can't keep them straight, so I'll try to play it. But I probably won't succeed. Let's see. Wind That Shakes the Barley. No, it's not. Is that right? No, it doesn't seem right. I don't know. I'm psyching myself out. I don't know if that was right or not, but there's like probably a half dozen Irish tunes that are all reels in the key of D that have really similar B parts with tiny little variations. And so I'll play the A part of one and then the B part of the wrong one, and that'll send me back into the A part of the wrong one, and then I'll try to correct the B part, which will send me into a third. It's just a big hairy mess in my mind with those tunes. I need other people to play along with in order to get those ones to come out right. Yeah. Laurie Lewis does do Wind and Rain. Extremely grim. There's my favorite version. If you want some really kind of far out stuff, it's pretty different. But Sam Amidon did a collaboration with Nico Muhly, who's an amazing kind of contemporary classical, or I don't know how you would describe what he does. Nico Muhly, but I really love his stuff. Nico Muhly did an album called Mother Tongue. I think it's on that album, and has Sam Amidon on doing a kind of really far out version of Oh the Wind and Rain that's super powerful, but not your classic bluegrass version by any means. Yes, Garcia and Grisman did a Wind and Rain as well. There's a lot of, I think Crooked Still did one. Cold Rain and Snow. Rain and Snow. Snow. That's a good one. If that's the one you're thinking of. So yeah, this is kind of started off right into the questions and talk. But if you're new here, let me know in the chat if this is your first time. The way these work is it's Q&A for an hour. So time's already flying by. I'll do my best to keep up with the chat. But if you got questions about playing mandolin or music in general, happy to answer them. If you got tunes you want to hear, I'm happy to play through them if I know them. I don't do any copyrighted material, but see what comes up. Doesn't hurt to ask, I guess. Ursula says, wanted to learn temperance reel after watching Sierra's video for LR bags, but you don't have it on your site. That's one that I've been like meaning to put on my site forever. How does that go? No, I'm back into Wind That Shakes the Barley. Unless I was playing temperance reel the whole time. It's one that the reason it's probably not on my site is I don't play it that much. It's kind of not in my regular repertoire. Again, I follow it if other people play it, but it is a really popular tune and should get on my site. Could you string it up as C, G, D, E? Well, it's got 4 strings, so maybe C, G, D, A, E is what you mean. So I did want that possibility with this 10 string. So what you can do, if you put a capo on the 5th fret, it becomes kind of mandolin scale with a low C string and then G, D, A, E. So it does have that possibility. It wouldn't go as low as like Mandocello C. You wouldn't want to go down from there because the scale length is so short. Okay, and then you did correct C, G, D, A, E. Yeah, so I would capo 5 and then have C, G, D, A, E. The 18.5 wouldn't work. 18.5 inch scale length wouldn't work for a high E. You'd need like a 0.05 string and it would just probably slice through your finger before you could actually fret it. Awesome. Got Brianne's husband listening in. Hi. Welcome to listening to the live stream. Cool new instrument. I want to have a mandola, but I think there's no extra space for another instrument in my small apartment. Well, maybe I should do I should do a master class on how to shove lots of instruments into a tiny space because I have a lot of practice. I'm good at filling up closets and all that sort of stuff. But it's a dangerous thing. I don't know if I would want to promote that sort of behavior. That is made behind the bar, yeah. Wind That Shakes the Barley. You're right, that is made behind the bar. How does Wind That Shakes the Barley go? I'll play one that sounds like Wind That Shakes the Barley. So that's one of the tunes. I managed to get through that tune a couple times without skipping around. That tune is called The New Found Out. There might be other names for it. I learned it from the Mulcahy family, Irish group. And that's one of the tunes where the B part sounds like the Wind That Shakes the Barley, but isn't. So that's as close as I can get with my brain this morning. I need more coffee is what I need. I left my coffee out in the kitchen. That was a poor choice. Let's see. How about some Gilderoy? Oh, so Gilderoy Is that like the minor version of what is the tune? Is it like red? Is it the minor version of like Red Haired Boy? Oh, what is it? I know that tune. Norman Blake and what is? I love that tune. I'm gonna do a little cheating here and find that. Hopefully, I can listen to just enough of it. Yeah. I don't know if I can really pull it off. I love that tune though. There's a great version. Norman Blake and Tony Rice, #1. Epic albums that if you haven't heard the Norman and Tony albums, check them out. And it's kind of like a minor version of, because they do Little Beggar Man, which is kind of like, or maybe like either a version of or an alternate name for Red Haired Boy, I believe. Or maybe. Yeah, it's a Red Haired Boy variant. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't be saying variant on a live stream. Anyway, a variation. And then Gilderoy is kind of the minor version of that. I should work that one up. I love that tune and I love that album. Edward says, grinding through the intermediate lessons. They're great. I love chords and the melody. Do you have plans to do any more of them? I could do more. Like, ultimately, I think the thing that's really going to help is, as you said, kind of grind. And that's the way that anything happens the first time, is you kind of got to grind through it. But what I'm hoping to do in that intermediate series is give you the tools so you can do it on your own. The first one I'll walk you through. It's going to be a grind. The second one's going to be a grind because I'm not going to walk you through it. Pick something in the same key with not too many notes. Or don't be afraid to take some notes out of a tune in order to get those chords and kind of chord melody style in there. But ultimately, the idea is now, once you get through the intermediate series, you have all the skills to do them yourself. But I could also do some more in the future. Ooh, a dedicated video for string gauges. Yeah, that's something I guess I know a fair amount at this point. That's something that I sort of only do for myself. I don't really know much how to teach it. And there's so much variation in terms of like personal preference and the instrument and stuff that I don't understand about. It would be cool to like maybe interview a string manufacturer, because I'm always trying to like dial in my string gauges on weird instruments. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Denise has a great thing going on here. After attending a virtual Maine Fiddle Camp, VMFC, I realized Maine has a great effect on your musical repertoire. Yes, it's because I lived there for 30 years and played music for 20 of them. Have you learned any new tunes in Oregon? Are some tunes more prevalent in Oregon? Well, it's hard to say. I have learned a couple tunes. What I'll say is, at this point, I've pretty much played exclusively Irish music with other people in Oregon. And there's some tunes that I'm hearing out here that I haven't heard in Maine. A more interesting story maybe is, there's a tune that I heard in Maine for years and years and years playing Irish music. And it's kind of notey. It's a little bit of like a tongue twister or a finger twister. So I was like, oh yeah, that tune, I don't hear it that much. I'll just not learn that one. And, you know, it seems complicated. Which is kind of how so much of my learning experiences go. It's like, oh yeah, that seems complicated. Better not do that. And then I learn it and it's not as bad as I thought. And then the next time I hear something like that, it's a little bit easier. So learn from my mistakes, people. So this tune, so I'd heard it for like, you know, probably 5+ years in Maine. And then came out here and it popped up again. People love playing it out here. It's a Finbar Dwyer tune, who was a button accordion player, Irish button accordion player. And it's weird, but it's cool. It's called Bear Island. There's a bunch of other names. B-E-A-R-E, I believe, is the spelling. Or maybe B-E-R-E. Anyway, sounds like this. So that's a tune that I learned recently. But that one, it doesn't exactly answer your question. I haven't found, nothing's popping to mind just because I haven't really played with that many people. I've mostly played Irish music, almost exclusively Irish music, where I feel like I've listened and been in so many Irish music sessions that there's a lot of tunes that I hear and I like know about or recognize, but just don't know how to play, or can't like pull them out of my own brain to start on my own. So that's sort of where I'm at in terms of organ tunes. But I'm sure I will get to the point where I'm learning kind of more organ standards. Speaking of Maine Fiddle Camp, I am going to be teaching there. Is it next month? No, April. In April, I'm doing the virtual Maine Fiddle Camp. And then, fingers crossed, June, in person, in Maine. Hope it happens. We'll see. Keep an eye on the website for more details. Great questions coming through here. Yeah, exactly. So Robert said about that, when the shakes the barley variant, the second half is half correct. Or the second part is half correct. Yeah, that's exactly sort of what's going on. And there's little variations with all those tunes that really just kind of break my brain. Apartment 306 says, I am a guitar player who's been playing mandolin on and off. Oh, wait. Who's been playing mandolin on and off the mandolin? You've been playing mandolin off the mandolin? How do I stop sounding like a guitar player on the mandolin? I think I know what you're saying here. So, you play guitar first, and you pick up a mandolin, and you approach it like a guitar, because that's what you know. You know guitar. When I learned to play guitar as my second instrument, having come from the mandolin, I played it like a mandolin. I think the best thing to do is learn from other learn from other mandolin players. That will go a long way. I mean, a lot of it is, except for the tuning and the fact that your fingers are, instead of being like guitar fingering, which would be kind of 1 fret per finger, you widen out a little bit to 2 frets per finger. The pick kind of is the same idea. You gotta get used to the size of the instrument, the double courses, the left-hand fingering, and the tuning of the instrument. I think the more you do it, the fact that like, hey, I'm kind of playing this like a guitar. What can I do? Like, a lot of it just comes through time spent with the instrument. Something that can be really helpful if if you're required to play the guitar like more regularly. Things that have helped me is really kind of doing kind of immersion programs for myself in my own house with nobody else around, where I like only play guitar for a week, or I only play mandolin for a week, because that'll really help you kind of look into the instrument and be like, okay, what's going on here? What are the strengths of this instrument versus, and what are the weaknesses? You know, I'm playing it like a guitar, and what weakness does that bring out in the instrument? And how can I change that weakness into a strength? So I'd say the most you can do, the best thing to do is just play, and learn from other mandolin players. So Betsy, welcome. First off, good to see you. So on the community tab said your computer was out for repair. That was a couple weeks ago now. Finally got it back. It was a very frustrating experience because they took my computer, sent it off to get repaired, and then I got it back from the repair facility with a letter that said, we couldn't replicate your issue, so we wiped your hard drive, so all your files are gone. You're welcome. And I had backups, but I have like huge amounts of data to get back on and off my computer, so it took a good week to actually finally, like 2 days ago, and that was a couple weeks ago, took probably 2 solid weeks of tinkering with stuff to get my computer back to where it was. But now it's here, and I'm back to streaming. Yes, James says we're testing Baron's tune knowledge today. I like it. Yes, you are. So, Ursina says, I wish there was a good channel out there like Baron's for guitar. I get that a lot, and I'm just curious, when you say that, or people who think that, and there's only one of you right now, maybe I should like put out more of a formal questionnaire. But, like, are you looking for guitar where it's teaching like the stuff that I teach? Do you want like a guitar version of MandoLessons, or do you want kind of free YouTube guitar teaching of just like more kind of like popular repertoire? I'm just kind of curious what the interest is out there. Crawford says, what do you think? Stadium M30TE acoustic or Stadium, I don't know, either one of those. I'm guessing maybe you're overseas. I really only know the American market, and I'm kind of out of touch with that at this point. So maybe Stadium is something you can get in the States. Whenever people ask me about mandolin brands I'm unfamiliar with, I say, ask on mandolincafe.com. It looks like maybe the only difference you're talking about here is whether you want to be able to plug it in to an amplifier or not. That depends. In general, I would say, unless you're really excited about the electric side of things, go acoustic, just because the weight of the pickup and the knobs and the wiring will kind of reduce the quality of the acoustic sound of the instrument. So if you want to play straight acoustic mandolin, I'd say go straight acoustic. Siminoff makes some fine strings. I've used those in the past, the straight up strings. Love them. Lewis says, went to a jam Thursday, it got pretty quick, like speedy, I think. It seemed like I was removing notes all night long. Well, that's the thing to do, you know? If things are going by too quick, the only thing to do is remove them, is like take some notes out of your own playing, and then work on speed in your practice sessions. Multi-stand is a good solution. Is there somewhere small instruments like mandolins fit in? Oh, this is about... Yeah, so there's... I really like these tiny little... They're just single stands, but they're very small. They're good for mandolins, and like I think you could probably get like an electric guitar on these. Yes, you can. I've put electric guitars on these. It won't fit a full-size acoustic guitar, and it's maybe not like quite as stable as something that's got like the whole neck yoke up here, but these are very small, very compact. That doesn't really change that much space, but maybe it gives you a handle anyway. Really like those for smaller instruments. What is it? Stag. The Stag, I think probably, maybe it's made for ukuleles or something, but I like those. And you can kind of stack them together. They're kind of small footprint, so you can get a lot on the floor. That's what that's what that guitar is on. That's what that guitar is on. It's hard to point. That's what that guitar is on. I've got 3 over here. And there's another electric guitar behind me. Anyway, yeah, I like those. Hey, Will, good to have you here. Welcome. What gauge? Christine says, what gauge pick are you using right now? So this is a. Come on, focus me now. There we go. Keep working. This is a Dunlop Prime Tone Large Triangle 1.5 millimeter. I think it's 1.5. Yeah, 1.5. They make 1.4s, maybe 1.3s. But this is my pick of choice. I use the Blue Chip CT55 for a long time. But these only cost a $1 or so a piece versus $30-something. Nothing wrong with Blue Chips. I love them. But I lose picks real fast. And that starts getting to be an expensive habit. Denise asks, when working on improvising, should I restrict practice sessions to tunes in one key? That might help with chord practice since all the tunes would have much the same chords, or work on one tune at a time. That's a great question. I mean, I often recommend people work on one key at a time for like double stops because you keep using the same idea. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, like with improvising, that's the thing. Like, you can use some of the same phrases on when improvising on different tunes. That's a great idea. Yeah, pick like 3. Give it a shot. Pick 3 tunes that you know really well in a single key, and work on improvising using all 3 of those tunes. I like that. That is a good exercise for everyone, myself included. So you can all thank Denise for this week's homework. Arsenal says, I really need to convince myself to start practicing chords and strumming. I say this just about every week, and I never get to it. Well, here's the thing. As you said, your wife plays guitar. So often we neglect chords and strumming because we're just playing on our own, and it doesn't make, like, it requires, you know, you're going to work on the melody because that's the exciting thing to hear, versus like, all right, I'm just going to play like the chords for Whiskey Before Breakfast for myself. You know, there's really nothing to hear here. It's kind of empty. But even if your wife isn't playing the melodies, the fact of having some other instrument going while if you're playing chords together, that's going to sound a lot better than just kind of playing chords to an empty room. So chords really come in handy when you're playing with other people, and they also give you a reason to work on them. Crawford says, I already got that one. Stuart says, I went to a session with some amazing Irish and Scottish players and was invited to bring my mandolin next time. Excellent. Much better than me, and I'm nervous. Any advice? Go for it. I would say if you're invited, bring it in there. You just kind of got to learn by doing. I'd say, if you're invited, bring it along. Just, listen. Like if you know some of the repertoire, you can pick the ones you know. If you don't, maybe ask if you can like bring along a little recorder. It can just be your phone to record the tunes that you really like the sound of, so you can go home and work on them later. If it's with Irish music in general, mandolin is just a melody instrument. But if that's not the case in the session that you're going to, you can ask like, hey, is it okay if I try to strum some chords with this? Usually that's like relocated to like just guitars or maybe a bouzouki if there's a bouzouki there in Irish music. But again, it depends on the session. So you can ask, hey, like, I'm happy to play some chords if that's what you want to hear. But they may say, no, just melody's fine. And the only way to know is learn. Or the only way to learn is to try. This is what I'm trying to say. A good channel for guitar, meaning free. Lots of channels. Okay, the same way I approach mandolin, free makes it easier for people on very fixed income like me. Your approach is easy to absorb. But do you want to learn? Do people want to learn fiddle tunes on the guitar or just like general guitar? Yeah, lessons with Marcel is great. He's been around longer than me. That's an amazing resource. Terrier Waltz by Nat Keefe with the bow ties. Cool. That's a new one. I don't know that tune, I don't know that person, and I don't know that band. That's some good sleuthing, Lewis. Hey, thank you, Andy. Appreciate it. Ooh, learn any fun new waltzes? I don't know. Waltzes. I'll play you a waltz that I haven't played in a long time, but somebody was just saying that it's like the one waltz that they know, and I was like, oh, I love that tune. I haven't played it in a long time. A tune called Waltz Poel. I learned from the band Jantacorum. So it's Waltz Poel, Poeles. And the band I learned it from is Genticorum, Genticorum, one of my favorite bands from Quebec of all time. Alex says, I'm finally getting away from staring at my left hand and keeping my head up. My pick technique and rhythm are definitely benefiting. Yeah, we get real tied into the visual aspect of playing the mandolin, so a really good exercise is to just stare at the ceiling while you're trying to play. It'll really, because as soon as it's kind of like reading music, you know, like if you read music, you get really attached to like the notes on the page, whether it's tablature or standard notation. And we can do it without looking at the sheet music. But having some visual aid, because we use visual aids so much in the rest of our life, we kind of think that we need it, but we don't. So it can feel uncomfortable to like get away from the habit of looking at what we're doing. But that's not what's making the sound. That's not what's making the rhythm. Your eyes aren't helping you play music unless they're telling you the notes. And just takes a little bit of practice, and it will really benefit your pick direction and rhythm and all of that sort of stuff, because it becomes more of a feeling in your whole body than sort of something that you can kind of assess with your eyes. I saw another thing. Okay, it's down there. I'll get to it. Interested in guitar accompaniment for mandolin. Same repertoire you have for mandolin. Cool. Gear question from Brienne. What appeals to you most about Ellis over other high-end brands like Collings? Got the chance to play Collings MF5 last week. That was like silk. Wondering about Pava Ellis. I mean, we are very blessed by the number of really high-end musical instrument builders out there. So ultimately, there's kind of no wrong options. I've played a bunch of Collings. I've owned Collings in the past. I still own a bunch of Collings guitars, or I've not just a bunch, but I have owned a bunch, and I now have a single O kind of parlor, just up one size from like a parlor 6-string guitar and a Collings tenor guitar back there. I love their guitars. The mandolins are amazing. For whatever reason, I've just always I haven't found the one that was like the perfect fit for me. And when I found this Ellis, this is my first Ellis, the F hole, it was just like nothing I had ever played. It's also kind of unlike any other Ellis that I've ever played. I've played a good number of Ellises at this point, and there hasn't ever been one quite like this. It's kind of dark sounding. It's a little more bassy, a little less kind of bright on the treble end. And for whatever reason, I think because I'm not like a real straight ahead bluegrass player, I really like the sound of this instrument. But it really, even if you sit down with a dozen different, or a dozen what seem like a dozen identical mandolins from any builder, Collings, Ellis, Kentucky, they're all going to sound different. Wood is a natural product. It's going to have its small variations in the way that the instrument is carved, all that sort of stuff. So I kind of gravitated to that first Ellis. I played an oval hole and was like, ooh, that's nice. And like, half the reason for this oval hole is the fact that it's an Ellis, and half of it is that it's kind of a hybrid instrument. I've owned a bunch of Gibsons in the past, old vintage Gibsons, and they're built differently. The neck joins at the 12th fret instead of the 15th. The fretboard is flush to the top rather than elevated like this. A lot of them are just kind of flat on the top of the instrument. So it's kind of a hybrid, modernized oval hole. And the fact that, it is from the same builder, the neck is very similar to the F hole, so it feels almost identical to hold and play. So that's kind of my reasoning there. But, if I ever found an instrument that would, for example, like the Smart, part of it is that it's a 10-string, and not many people make 10-string instruments. And part of it is that I just love it. Like, I tried it and was like, whoa, this is the instrument for me. So I think the best thing you can do, and it seems like you're doing that if you're playing MF5s, just try it. Try out as much stuff as you can. You'll find stuff that you gravitate towards and stuff that you don't. If I had all the space and all the money in the world, I'd just own one of everything. Any thoughts on mandolin equivalent to the trill you often hear in Irish music players and Irish flute players? Yes, I have thoughts. I don't personally use trills. I find them to be not the sound that I'm looking for on the mandolin. There's people who do it great. A good friend of mine, Eric McDonald, is a great mandolin player and guitar player out of Montreal now. And he has an amazing sort of, the sound you're looking for is sort of on a fiddle. What you're doing is really quickly going, like if you want that note and then that note is a trill, it would be, and you're doing like one above the note, one below the note again. And on a fiddle, it can just be a little like left hand finger flick. Because you've got the bow going the whole time, creating the sustain, and it's a really beautiful sound. And the same thing with the flute. It's a little twitch of your, I don't know what hand it is on a flute, but your mouth is creating the sustain. On a mandolin, you either lose a lot of that note value by doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, or you have to pick everything. And I find, kind of for a combination of reasons, I don't love that sound of like all the attack happening when I go and hit all those notes. It's just a little too kind of intense for kind of the sound that I'm personally after. Also, what I've found is I spend most of my time in normal life when I'm playing Irish music. I'm usually playing with other people, usually playing with some fiddle players, hopefully playing with some flute players, and if I'm trying to match all of those trills with the fiddle player, I'm just going to be kind of playing over them. And that's where, if a fiddle player is doing that nice trill, and then I'm also trying to go and get that attack from my right hand, that's just going to kind of interfere in my ears with kind of the nice sound from the fiddle. So I'll usually either not do anything. I play kind of less ornaments than probably a lot of people, especially on tenor banjo. Irish tenor banjo players are really big on the like. Really kind of heavy on the triplets, very percussive, which is a great sound. But my style is just more kind of hitting the note and letting other instruments play trills and ornaments, because everybody loves to play trills and ornaments, myself included. But if you do them all the time and you're playing in a group, it's just going to be everybody's going to be playing ornaments all the time. It's going to be a big wash of ornaments, and I think the tune will kind of suffer for it. So it's kind of dependent on the ensemble you're playing with. It's dependent on kind of what you like to hear. For me, it's just sort of my only real kind of ornament that I tend to do in Irish music is that sort of percussive triplet. And a lot of that is just for the percussive nature of it. Great question, though. My brain zones out when I'm doing chords, and then I lose my place or confuse which chord comes next. Yeah, that is definitely... And I talk about that in my beginner series. Intermediate series. Try like playing the chords and singing the melody is going to be a huge benefit for kind of training yourself to do two things at once. I'm going to do a little lightning round here, and then we're going to play a little spotted pony. Yeah, melodies on guitar are a great thing to learn. It's not something you'll end up doing all the time, but it's a great way to build skills on the instrument. Nice, James says he's going to try to line up some in-person lessons. Speaking of which, time is running, and this is not a plug directly at James, but I am teaching some in-person lessons. You can find a link in the description. It should be in the description of this video. If not, it's lessonface.com/MandoLessons. I'm only teaching through the end of March, and there's already a lot of slots filled, but I do have some, so if you want to grab a lesson, now's your chance. Because it's not going to be going for long. Grab a couple lessons. I'll probably start up again maybe in the fall once the summer calms down. I really am enjoying doing private lessons, so whenever I get the chance, I'm going to do it, but I'm probably going to take a bunch of months off here in the middle. It's true, you can use the play-along jams to work on chords. Awesome. They said you could record the session, so yeah. I think, Stuart, this seems like an amazing opportunity to really, I've learned the most when I'm in over my head, and I'm often in over my head playing with new people. Even now, when I moved to Oregon, I started playing with all new people. It's a different repertoire of tunes I hadn't played in a long time, tunes I'd never heard. And so I was like, okay, this is new. And, you really gotta turn on your listening skills, do a lot of listening, play the tunes make some recordings, take down notes of tune names, all that sort of stuff. That's going to be super... I think that's going to be a great experience. And I'd say go as regularly as you can. The best thing, you really start to feel like the osmosis of the music and learning kind of magically get into your fingers. If you go if it's a weekly session, go every week. Even if you're not playing all that much, it's like an immersion language of going to another country. You can sit in your house and work on Duolingo on how to learn French, or you can get the very basics into your mouth and then go to France. And that's going to be a whole different experience. There's benefits to both, but ultimately, knowing a language, whether it's a spoken language or a musical language, is about conversing with other people, to extend the metaphor. So do it as much as you can. Regularity is key. Whoa, got a whole... First off, Denise... yes, I did spell it, probably coinciding with your... I was thinking of you while I was spelling that, because Denise does some awesome PDFs, which you can search through to find old topics in all these live streams. So Denise likes it when I spell things. It's for all your own benefit, all of your benefits. Now there's a big slew of super chats. Thank you all so much. We have Edward. Just a general thank you. Also, same for Brienne. Really appreciate it. Nice. Joe, thank you for the super chat. Also says, all of my music has chords that are directly transferable to the guitar. Exactly. My sister-in-law and I were recently playing a bunch. She was on guitar. They're generally easy guitar chords. That is true. Yeah. If you have a guitar player in your life, they can probably read the chords that are written in my sheet music. And thank you, Stuart, for the super chat. Says, thanks for everything. Just moved to the UK, and once I found a job, my first stop is your Patreon. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now I'll catch up, do a last little lightning round here. I like that. Denise says, if you don't look at your instrument as you play, you'll start hearing music instead of notes. That is well put. Yeah, MT or Collings MT or used Pava, those. I mean, that's the thing is like those are gonna sound like a used MT is gonna sound probably 90% of what a brand new MF5 is gonna sound like. You just don't get the scroll. Slight different in the sound between an A style and F style, but not much. I was talking with a builder recently who I hope to maybe interview sometime or get on the. Anyway, secrets. Yeah, that's that's a good any opportunity you get to get into a music store is going to be great. Yeah, Kentucky KM 722 has the same elevated fretboard. I hadn't really thought about that. That's a good point. Hey, nothing wrong with a nice Eastman Ursanos. That I love. I've owned many Eastmans in my day, and they're. I mean, if you think about like that, I have a video 50 versus 500 versus $5,000 instrument. I would say there's like the $500 instrument is, let's say 5 times better than the $50 instrument, and I'd be hard pressed to say that a $5,000 instrument is twice as good as a $500 instrument. It's really a law of diminishing returns. So there's a lot of great musicians out there that are playing not fancy instruments. I know they get a lot of hype, but it's ultimately not about the gear. All right. Any suggestions for bluegrass? You go to Christian camp in Colorado and want to learn mandolin to play there. There's a bluegrass section on my website. I would say look in there. I got some songs. And under the songs section, you can learn some of the tunes under the bluegrass genre of my general fiddle tunes list. Check that out. There's also a lot more kind of bluegrass-oriented mandolin teachers and instruction books out there. I'm mostly kind of in the traditional fiddle tune world, which has some crossover into bluegrass. All right, I like to see people scheming instruments. Hope it works out. Excellent. Cool. All right, let's play a little flop-eared. Nope. Let's play a little pony. Not flop-eared mule. Spotted pony. More equine tunes. Yeah, Wayfaring Strangers on my website. That's a good one. Okay, flop-eared mule, key of D. Maybe about there. A 1, I'll play the melody, you play the chords, and we'll swap. Key of D. 1, 2, 3. Melody. You take the melody. Here we go. B. B2. I'll take it. A2. B. You take it. B part. Sorry for the surprise ending there. I got a little distracted reading the chat while trying to jam. Don't read and jam, folks. Or do. It's good practice to try to read and jam. Thank you all so much. What should we play next week? We're kind of out of time here, but throw some ideas in the chat. I'll cross-check them with some excellent Denise creations so we don't do any repetition because my brain can't keep things straight. But throw out some ideas. Thank you all so much for joining in. Great to hang with you for the weekend. Or hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Petronella is a great tune. Maybe from Denise herself. Is maybe even looking at her own list, so she's picking a good one. Let's see. Play along jams. Petronella. I love Petronella. Petronella, never been done. We have a winner. Next week, Petronella sounds like this. How does it go? Petronella. There we have it, little Petronella. That's the tune for next week. I assume that the live Shannon Heaton's live Irish session is going. You're already late. Go check it out. Thank you all for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.